Hi, I'm Marty Nemko. Conventional wisdom is that forcing yourself to do a task that you're procrastinating isn't an enduring solution. It's argued that forcing yourself ignores the underlying fear of failure, which need be addressed if procrastination is to be enduringly reduced. Or, my fellow Psychology Today blogger and procrastination expert Tim Peichel argues that procrastinators' desire to feel good now too often trumps the long-term benefit from doing the task. The procrastinator usually chooses one marshmallow now rather than two later. So, Peichel feels that is to build procrastinators' frustration tolerance. Earlier in my career, I tried to help my clients reduce their procrastination by doing those two things, trying to help them my clients address their fear of failure and increasing their frustration tolerance. But in recent years, I have found greater success by inviting my clients to force themselves, to get started on tasks that they know they should do but procrastinate. I ask them to take a true baby step. I'll say something like, force yourself to do the first few second part of the task, then the next few second part. And often, just after a few of those few second parts, they've gotten themselves going. Client after client has told me that the hardest part is getting started. Well, the few second part helps them get started. For example, I wasn't in the mood to prepare this talk, so I procrastinated for a few hours doing less difficult, often more pleasant tasks. Well, I was finally able to get myself started by asking myself, what's my first few second part? It was to name the Word file. I named it forceyourself.doc. The next few second test was to think of a title for it. Then the first sentence. At that point, I was hooked and I kept writing. The other point at which people tend to procrastinate is when they reach a hard part. What's helped most is what I call the 1-minute struggle tactic. Generally, unless you've made progress in a minute, you're unlikely to. You're more likely to sit and struggle for quite a while, which makes you more likely to not only give up on that task, but create such an unpleasant memory of doing such tasks that it increases the tendency to procrastinate in the future. So, after just 1 minute of struggling unsuccessfully with a hard part, I suggest that my clients ask themselves, should I struggle some more? Ask for help? Come back to it later with fresh eyes? Or see if I can continue the task without solving that hard part? In preparing this talk, the hardest part was essentializing Peichel's position. I broke that subtask into few second tasks. First, I used my computer search function to find my email exchange with Tim Peichel. I read it. That took a minute. It wasn't hard. Next, I reread the short Psychology Today post of his that he said summarized his position, and then I had to struggle. How could I fairly summarize his core position in just a couple of sentences? That was the length that in the context of this little talk or my article would be appropriate. So I forced myself to keep struggling with that. And at the 1 minute mark, I had made some progress, but I hadn't solved it. So I did keep thinking and trying out wordings, and 2 minutes later, I felt I had done it. In other words, I felt I'd made a little progress, it was worth another minute of trying to struggle. The 1 minute struggle, or a variant thereof, the one I just described in this case, was crucial to my getting it done. Now, ultimately, procrastination is most likely to be cured by a foundational factor, that is, a deep sense of responsibility within the person, of willing to be uncomfortable routinely for the larger long-term benefit, to routinely forego one marshmallow now for two later. But I have found it difficult to engender such a foundational change in most of my procrastination-prone clients. More helpfully, ironically, has been the more superficial approach I've just described. Force yourself to do that first and maybe second and third few second parts. And when you reach a roadblock, use the 1 minute struggle technique. Or, as the Nike commercial said, just do it. In any event, I do thank you for watching. I'm Marty Nemko. I do welcome your thumbs up and accept your thumbs down, your comments. You're hitting the share button below and sharing it on your social media, and certainly subscribing to my channel. In any event, I do thank you for watching. I am Marty Nemko.